Still hanging out up here on the third chain islands. Water temps are still super warm, and we're starting our days out at 88, 89, 90 degrees. Some of these estuaries that are up in here. But this is the kind of areas that you need to be. Hard packed sand and shell. So that's why we're continuing to work these third chain, work all the way down what they call the runway, all this area down here towards Cedar Bayou, that whole flat area. All hard packed sand. You got deeper water access to that later in the day. Like I say, our trout bite, man, it's pretty well done by 10 o'clock, 10:30ish at the latest. If you get fortunate enough, just maybe find some a little bit deeper edges, deeper water, something like that. You can locate some fish in those types of areas. But early morning, even the top water bite's been decent. We've got some opportunities with that, and but that said, primarily our plastics have been their main go-to. Double D's been another one that's been pretty good for us as well, and those little bit deeper edges, the pockets and stuff that you can find those. But we're finding our fish over the hard packed sand, the shell, and the grass. That's our target areas. This is one of the great areas that are up here in the Mesquite. And there's other areas over in Mesquite as well that you can find. It's just kind of where we've been hanging and working this particular shoreline for a little bit now. The past few days have been tough. We have caught fish, but it's been somewhat of a grind. I will have to say that to you. It has been difficult to get some of these fish to eat like we really want them to eat. So main things that we've been throwing at them in the down south in the burner shad size, in the original size, and then of course the knock and tail, and then of course I mentioned a minute ago top water bait's been okay. And then the Double D, and of course the Little John has been very good for us as well. So, we got the big moon in play. That's a big factor as well. So we're going to be on the back side of it here in the next few days. So that's all going to come factor in. And of course, and then the next thing is outside of the water being so warm and our air temps being warm, our water levels have been super low too. So that's played a factor as well. So you really have to be diligent about fishing some of these areas and being patient with it. Because if you're not, there's fish that are holding in some of these areas, but you just really have to take your time. Don't blow through them, what I like to call greyhounding. Don't greyhound through those areas. Take your time, just walking it really slow, just really trying to work a bite and trying to feel that bite because it's not super, super aggressive by any means. So something you just have to take in consideration in these times that we have right now with the weather conditions that we got. So it's gonna continue for the foreseeable future, but these are the types of areas, especially up here in Mesquite, that you need to be working these types of areas. You can get down into Cedar if you want to work out on the surf. Run out there and see if you got some fish that are holding. Look for the birds that are working out there on the surf side of it. And then, of course, on the Madre side, we've worked all this area back through here, again, on the hard packed sand, on the edges, that, and then all the way up into Bray. Hadn't been in Bray in a little while, so we decided to venture off in there to see if we can just locate some trout or redfish. We found redfish hanging out in some of these areas. And, of course, redfish, a little bit different personality. They don't mind the hot water too terribly much, but with the water really dropping out, they're kind of hanging out on these outer edges, on the drop, on the grass line. So, and we have located fish in those types of areas. And then, of course, you come on around, you got shell bars and shell reefs, and those are other areas that you want to target and locate during this time frame. So, like I say, man, if you're fishing past noon, 1 o'clock, good luck, because it is extremely difficult as we get into the mid-afternoon or early afternoon, should I say, because it's just difficult. So, like I say, target time frames. If you're going to focus on trout, be there early, get that done. Try to find your fish as early as you can, then try to maybe go target you some redfish in some of these areas as well. Tip of mud. All the way back around. We've been in this area quite a bit as well over the last several weeks, fishing this out here. This is all same time frame, same type of bottom structure and everything that's there. You got your deeper grass beds, you got your hard packed sand. All that stuff comes into play. And we're just working everything that's down here in front of mud, all the way down there to Allen's Bite area, to the ranch house, through Blind Pass. Even on the back side, this shoreline back here, this kind of continuation of the super flats. This area here, you got some nice hard packed sand, deeper grass beds. So it's really a good area to target later in your morning. get up there close. Like I say, the double D's been good for us. Working the topwater baits have been good for us, and really more than anything else, the topwater bait, what it's done for us is kind of be a locator for us. We get some blow ups with some swirls or some slaps or whatever, and they're really not interested to be super aggressive to attack that particular bait. Then we'll put that double D on, or we'll throw the plastics in there and just kind of get that bait down into their face, and then we'll have a lot more hookup success that way. But we've worked these areas all through this on the deeper edge, on the grass, all the way back down toward the Liddy Ann. This whole area here has given us different opportunities throughout the morning time frames. Like I say, and if trout are what you're primarily wanting to focus on or to target, make sure you're doing it early. If you can get to that location by 6:15, 6:30ish, that's great. Still got some daylight's just starting to pop, starting to happen. Sun's really not taking effect at the point in time. I say some of these areas, you're getting a little bit cooler water because of the flow, the tidal push that's coming through there off the Liddy Ann there. So that's helpful. A little cooler water, those fish like to kind of hang out in that, and it feels good to you as well as wading it. But those fish really enjoy that. So you've got a lot of different bottom structure that's here. You've got guts, you've got some potholes, you've got shallow edges, hard pack, you've got grass, you've got a little scattered shell here and there. So it gives you a little bit of everything in these areas that we just talked about. So, and then of course it's easy shoot that comes right back over here to the tip of mud, and you've got a hard pack that's out there. You got deeper grass beds that are out there. Only thing you really have to worry about if you're not able to fish very much during the week, then you have to just strictly depend on like your Friday, Saturday, or Sunday date. Then what you have to contend with is a lot of boat traffic. So those fish kind of get scattered, so it makes it a little bit difficult. But some of them are hanging, so you just kind of have to work that. And you got this deeper edge on the backside here on mud, and you work that shoreline. You work the shell or the sandbar that comes all the way down here on the backside of it. And we found them in that gut that's there. We found them in the deeper water, primarily trout, and then of course redfish have been pushed up in some super shallow stuff. So we've even seen some of them with their backs out of it, and it makes it easy to find their tails too. Water's been super clear, really calm winds in the mornings like that. So if you're trying to locate or sight cast redfish, it makes that tad a little bit easier from that aspect. But from the overall fishing standpoint, it's been difficult. Like I say, it's been tough, like I said in the last video. Main thing, again, we're throwing the burner shad, we're throwing the down south originals, we're throwing the knock and tail and all the flavors, Little Johns, Little John XLs, the double Ds, topwater, all those baits are into play, even in this full moon phase. But again, we've been throwing the smaller profile size, so that's the one thing. Make sure that you take in effect with that. Now, if you see that you're not getting the production from those smaller profile, then you can go up a little bit on your profile size. I wouldn't go just super big unless you just want to experiment and see. And that's fine if you choose to want to do that, but that's okay. Like I say, but we've still had good production with the burner shad and the original size. That profile size has been good for us, especially during this full moon phase. Like I say, that's going to be tapering here off in the next few days. We'll be on the back side of it. We'll be back into those transition days. So again, make sure that you're getting to be able to fish either the moon set or the moon rise minor, because that's going to be your most productive time frame during the day. This little area right here called Redfish Point here in Copano, it's been pretty decent. Again, you got the same type of structure. You got the hard packed sand that's in here. You got some deeper grass beds. Then we get on the back side here, and you got the same type of structure that's in this area here. Say with our low winds, everything that's been in place right there, there's really been nowhere that you can't run right now, because you have super flat water, and that's been some of the part that's kind of added to the difficulty of catching. Fishing's great all the time, just got to worry about the catching aspect of it. But we've worked just kind of periodically in and out of this shoreline, all up and down this, all the way back down toward the runway where the little nautical park is that's right in here. Then this whole shoreline here, and then you got that little kayak launch that's right there off of 1781 that's back in there. You got that little spot there. So all this area in here has been pretty good. Scattered trout, nothing great as far as size. You'll catch some dinks in there, and then all of a sudden you'll catch a solid one, and then maybe you'll catch a redfish or two that are scattered in that as well. So we've just kind of worked these areas all through here, just to do something different. But it's structurally, it's still the same as a lot of the other places we're finding and catching fish. So we just want to try to expand our boundaries and our edges and where we're trying to look. Especially, if you put in there at Copano Bay Bridge, it's an easy little run, take you 5 minutes to get there, if that. And it's a pretty decent little stretch of water. It'll take you some time to work those. But once again, the size of the profile of the bait has been the main thing that we've really focused on. The burner shad and the original size down south has been the size that we're really wanting to focus and stay inside of. Nothing really longer than that. And then, of course, profile as far as just the squatty body, then that's where the double D comes in for you. Even the soft dine, if you have one of those or some of those that you want to throw in there, would be a good choice, especially during these few days. Say the temperatures of the water and the air temperature just made everything really tough. Fish are just not super reactive to everything. I mean, you may come into some spots and you get a little hot spell going there and you catch 8 or 10 in a row there, but then that bite dies right back off pretty quick. And the majority of those have been smaller fish. They haven't been in that slot. They've been just under 14, 14 and a half, maybe 14 and 3/4 size fish. But that's kind of what's been hanging out in some of those types of places. But again, you'll go through 5, 6, 7 of those, and all of a sudden you'll catch 18 or 19. It's a solid fish. They'll know that there's good fish that are there. This is where the patience comes in when you're throwing artificials in this time frame and this time of year. August is the toughest month for artificial folks. It's just tough on us. It makes everything more difficult. You really have to be more diligent and have to be just super patient and just persevere through some tough stretches there. You're going to get a lot of practice casting in some of these areas, but you know that there's fish there. You got your bait working in there. You got the right kind of structure. Just you have to really be patient with it, and that's the main thing that you have to remember during this time frame. If you can fish during the week, please do so, because that's going to give you your best opportunity not to have fish run over. If you're fishing strictly on the weekends, that makes things a little bit more difficult because you got more boats and more traffic, so those fish get scattered a little bit quicker, especially when they're not super active to eating anyway. So a couple of tactics: early mornings, late evenings. There's not a lot of people that are on the water on the late evenings. If you can contend with that and wait for that moon rise to happen, it's really a good time frame, especially as that sun starts to set and the moon's rising up. Air temps get a little cooler, so the fish get a little bit more active. So just remember that, or just go straight to night fishing. If you want to fish at nighttime, wait till those lights pop on and get around some of those docks, and you can do that as well. So when you're working these areas, make sure that you're working the majors and minors. Make sure you're working those smaller profiles. We've got the big moon. Again, it's in play. Lower tides, hotter water, everything comes into play, and you have to plug those pieces into that puzzle to help you become more successful during these tougher times.